Okay, let's just dive right into this, because what you've probably been told about aging, about movement, and about your own body, well, a lot of it is just flat out wrong. And today, we're going to talk about the one move that people seem to fear the most after 60, the squat. Seriously, just stop and think about this question for a second. For decades, the advice has been, don't squat too low, you'll wreck your knees, you're too old for that. But if that was the whole truth, how do you explain the millions, and I mean millions, of older adults in places like Vietnam or Japan who can just drop into a deep squat and hang out like they're in a comfy chair? It's not magic, and it's not about having better genes. It's about something else entirely. For way too long, we've been sold this myth, right? That past a certain age, your body is fragile, it's broken, it's on the decline. But the truth, gosh, the truth is so much more powerful. Your body isn't broken. It's just forgotten. It's forgotten a fundamental movement pattern that you were literally born to do.
So let's get into the real reason why squatting can feel so awkward or unstable or maybe even impossible right now. And here's a little hint. It has almost nothing to do with the year that's printed on your driver's license.
The real reason is right there. It's disuse. Simple as that. See, somewhere along the way, we swapped sitting on the floor for big, cushy recliners. We traded deep, natural movements for sitting at desks. We just stopped asking our bodies to do this thing, and now we act all surprised when it feels weird and foreign. But here's the beautiful part. What has been forgotten through disuse can be remembered through practice.
This all boils down to something called neuromuscular control. Okay, the best way to think about it is like this. Your brain is the conductor of an orchestra, and all your muscles are the musicians. Now, if you haven't practiced a piece of music, like the squat, in decades, what's going to happen? That orchestra is going to sound clunky, out of tune, totally out of sync. See, this isn't really a flexibility problem, not at its heart. It's a coordination problem. And you know what? Skills can always be relearned.
And here's your orchestra, right here. To pull off a good squat, all these muscle groups have to work together in perfect harmony. But if just one of them is weak, or tight, or just rusty, the whole system starts to wobble. Your heels might lift, your knees might cave in, and your brain, well, your brain interprets all that instability as danger, and it screams at you to stop what you're doing. So what if we just flip the script on this whole thing? Instead of seeing the squat as this enemy movement we have to be afraid of, what if we saw it as an invitation? An invitation to reteach that orchestra how to play, to rebuild your strength, and, maybe most importantly, to rebuild your belief in what your body is still capable of. So let's look at the proof. Because you know what? Progress doesn't care how old you are. It only cares that you show up. And these aren't stories about some super athletes. These are stories about regular folks who just decided that old myth wasn't going to be their reality anymore. All right, take this 68-year-old man. He moves to Vietnam, and he's surrounded by older people squatting with absolutely no problem. But he couldn't do it. Instead of just giving up, he watched them, he learned, and he practiced. 6 months later, he sent in a photo of himself in a full, comfortable squat, smiling from ear to ear. He literally retrained his body just by being consistent. Then you've got this 7-year-old woman who needed to use the armrests of her recliner just to stand up. The very first time she tried a supported squat, she maybe moved 2 inches. Tops. But she kept at it, week after week, and then one day, boom, she went all the way down. It wasn't perfect, but in that moment, she smashed through a mental barrier she thought was set in stone. And this one is just incredible. A 79-year-old woman who'd spent years avoiding any kind of hard movement, she decided to just try. She started slow, she was careful. 18 months later, she wasn't just squatting, she was squatting with a 31-pound weight on her back. Think about that. She didn't start strong, she built strong. Are you feeling inspired yet? I sure hope so, because now we get to the good stuff, the practical part. Those stories prove it's possible. This section is all about how you can start, step by step, to safely get this movement back for yourself. Here are 3 simple but really powerful exercises. First, that bent knee stretch. This isn't your old school hamstring stretch. This one specifically targets the exact muscles that need to lengthen to let your hips drop. Second, the assisted squat. You use a countertop for support, which is a game changer because it teaches your quads control without that fear of falling backward. And third, the hip flexor lift. This wakes up those tiny but super important core muscles that keep you stable and upright. You put them together, and you've got a complete system to reteach your body how to squat. So you're doing the work with these exercises, which is awesome. Now let's just make sure your body has the right building blocks to actually hold on to that new strength. You can check out the advanced amino formula. It's honestly what helps reverse that muscle loss. The link is easy to find below in the description. Okay, before you jump in, we've got to talk about safety. This is so important.
Starting this journey is all about being smart and really listening to your body. That's not weakness, my friends. That is wisdom.
Now, it's really important that if any of these conditions apply to you, you have a chat with your doctor or a physical therapist before you start. It doesn't mean you can't make progress, not at all. It just means your starting point might look a little different, and having that professional guidance is absolutely key.
And let's get one thing straight about pain versus discomfort. A little muscle soreness, maybe some stiffness, that's normal. That's progress. But sharp, stabbing pain is different. That's a stop sign from your body. Don't look at it as failure. See it for what it is. Valuable information that's telling you to maybe ease up or change what you're doing.
And remember why you're even thinking about doing this. This isn't about becoming a powerlifter or trying to prove something to anybody. This is about being able to get up off the floor if you fall. It's about being able to play with your grandkids and carry your own groceries. This is about protecting your independence and the quality of your life.
You know, if you've made it this far into our little chat, I want you to realize something really important. You have already started. You've challenged an old, tired belief, and you've learned a new way to think about your body. That is a massive first step. So this is your new story. This is the truth. Your body is not a machine that just wears out. It's an amazing organism that adapts. Real people, just like you, maybe even older, with more limitations, have done this. The secret sauce isn't being young, it's being consistent. So I'm going to leave you with this one question. The old myth says you're finished, that your best years of moving around are in the rearview mirror. But after everything you've just seen, what does your first step say? What are you going to choose to believe? And more importantly, what are you going to choose to do? Because that's the only thing that matters now.